Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where today we're going to be going over the latest Doctor Who annual, which has a brand new story for the 14th Doctor, a tease of the 15th Doctor, as well as some other pretty cool details. But before we get into it, if you could do me a teeny tiny little favour and click that subscribe button, it'd be very much appreciated. We do regular Doctor Who content here on the channel, and if that's your sort of thing, feel free to subscribe. It's only going to get more intense as we get closer and closer to the show's 60th anniversary, so if you don't want to miss any of that coverage, feel free to subscribe. But with that said, let's just get right into it. So yes, the Doctor Who annual came out today, and I now have it in my possession, and I wanted to talk about a few things that I picked up on within the annual. First thing of note, we have a letter from the Doctor, which is basically an in-character letter from the Doctor themselves that they do every year for the annual. This time, it's obviously the 14th Doctor doing the letter, so we get basically a recount of what happened at the end of Power of the Doctor, where, the Doctor died on a cliff top, teeth were familiar, and he checked them out, and we also get a mention of the changing clothes, and he says that that hasn't happened in ages. Of course, referring to Power of the Daleks. So that means that it is intentional within narrative for the clothes to have changed. I still assume that this is something to do with the Toymaker. In fact, one of the original ideas for the first Doctor's regeneration was to be at the hands of the Toymaker. So it makes total sense to me that the Toymaker would be playing about with the Doctor's regeneration in this way, but we'll have to wait and see on that. We then get like a basic blurb on the Doctor, as well as a few other flavour pages. Most of the annual tends to be information that fans already tend to know, so I won't be going over all of it here, but something I do want to bring up is on the regeneration page, the Timeless Child origin does get an explicit mention, despite a few pages prior where they kind of say about how, for some, the Doctor's origin story starts with the Timeless Child. For others, it starts with a white-haired old man in a blue box, and all that lovely stuff. So what this seems to indicate to me is that whilst the Timeless Child hasn't been retconned as such, it's being deprioritized in the canon moving forwards, as was kind of alluded to in my previous video on that topic. The next, and probably most prominent thing I'd like to talk about is the 14th Doctor's story that covers much of this annual. It's split into two parts, a sort of written, more book-like segment, and then a comic-type segment. The story basically revolves around several alien species being captured on a spaceship as slaves, such as Vectoraptors, something called the Sarsquids, and humans. It's revealed, however, that these slaves have been captured at the hands of the mighty Sycorax and are being forced into a constant state of fear and, in the Starsquid's case, controlling the ship via blood control. This is obviously very similar to the Christmas Invasion, but also the Beast Below, where the Beast is powering the ship of Starship UK. The Doctor confronts them, and they attempt to use the Doctor's blood from their previous encounter in the Christmas Invasion, as, if you remember, in that episode, they were the ones to cut off the Doctor's hand. However, this doesn't work, as the blood of the 14th Doctor is actually different to that of the 10th Doctor, and he says something to the effect of, "I've had several lifetimes since that one, so the blood profiles don't match." Once again confirming that the 14th Doctor, whilst looking like the 10th, is a wholly separate incarnation to him, rather than a simple projection or meta-crisis type scenario. But I must say, that was a really clever way of incorporating a new 14th Doctor into a narrative by reintroducing the Sycorax, and then having them attempt to use the same trick, only for it not to work, because this Doctor, while looking the same, is inherently different as an incarnation. And there was something incredibly nostalgic about seeing the Doctor, that specific version of the Doctor, fight the Sycorax once again, specifically on Christmas, according to the Doctor, as the humans on board indicate that the Sycorax arrived at Christmas, which is once again, I assume, a callback to the Christmas Invasion. The funniest part about this, though, is undoubtedly the fact that the Doctor befriends a pig called Alfredo that one of the alien species is terrified of, but he's just a really wholesome little pig who follows the Doctor throughout the adventure. It's really, really cute. So, yeah, Alfredo is one of my favourite Doctor Who companions now. And you can just hear David Tennant's voice through this whole thing. It's a really fun little story. Again, it's kind of in a similar vein to Liberation of the Daleks. It doesn't give you anything too massive, but it does give you a flavour of who this Doctor is. By which I mean, essentially, the 10th Doctor but older with several incarnations past, which I think we all assumed was going to be the case anyway. We do get some minor details about the 15th Doctor, although I was rather disappointed when they made out that this was going to have new details on the 15th Doctor, only to find out that it's basically just quotes from Instagram that Russell T Davies made. That was a little bit disappointing. We do have a little bit of a hint towards the 15th Doctor in the First Days as the Doctor segment, where each incarnation of the Doctor recounts their first days as the Doctor. You see the 15th Doctor's letter about being the Doctor just before it gets cut off by the page, which is a nice little tease for the fans as to that Doctor. Ruby Sunday is mentioned directly, so that's fun, I guess. But yeah, there's not much to report on that front. Overall, I'd definitely say that this annual is an improvement over previous years. It actually has unique stories with a brand new Doctor, as well as some minor new details with regards to the future of the show, and obviously it's got all of the summations of Doctor Who that you'd expect from an annual, talking about the TARDIS, Doctor costumes, all that stuff. Nothing huge was revealed in the annual, but you wouldn't really expect it from a Doctor Who annual. But for what it was, I think it did its job well. The cover is really nice, one of my favourite covers for the annual in years. Having both Doctors front and centre for the 2024 issue just makes perfect sense, given that obviously, whilst 2023 is David Tennant's year, Ncuti Gatwa will be the Doctor for 2024 for most of it, so it makes perfect sense for him to be on the cover as well, and I'm glad that they didn't shy away from showing the fact that Ncuti Gatwa is something that's upcoming, because it would be very easy to just say, oh, let's just put 14th Doctor stuff on here, let's just have 14 on the cover. But showing the future, I think, is a very good idea. It keeps people invested. And yeah, there's also some fun little games in there and stuff like that, which is kind of par the course for the Doctor Who annual. I don't tend to really do much with those, but there are like crosswords and that kind of thing, if you are that way inclined. Overall, for $7.99, I'd say it's more than worth the purchase if you're a Doctor Who fan, especially if you always pick up the annual anyway. It's definitely got more content than previous years. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but it's the Doctor Who annual. What do you expect? But that's about all I want to say. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a like, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.